head! Hey buddy, I'd give that a second. I kind of blew it up in there, you know, and there gonna be no more heroes for this guy. No more meatball heroes, that is. Oh, you know what, actually, oh man. I think I need a little more time in here. Yeah. Oh, fuck.
So there's anime hack and slashers, right? Fun to play, nice to look at, and they usually have really good combat music. For example, there's Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, and Dynasty Warriors. Shit, even the occasional Legend of Korra game will keep you on your toes if you know what I'm saying. But I'm preaching to the choir over here. That's pretty much the standard for those kind of games nowadays, right? Well, way back in 2006, things were a little different. You had all those games that I just listed, but then you had No More Heroes, who took the already exhilarating formula that was stylish anime hack and slashers and amped it up to about 1,000. This game flew largely under the radar, but not low enough to avoid garnering a few sequels though. No More Heroes would go on to get not one, not two, but 3 installments after its debut in 2006, and its cult status is not surprising whatsoever. Rocking one of the best art styles for any game series for its kind, not afraid to sport cel-shaded stylistic anime-inspired aesthetic. Fans were quick to fall in love with its otaku pop culture references and dark nerd humor. And it also doesn't hurt to have some marketable waifu characters for all genders and age-appropriate people to enjoy. That's why when Limited Run Games announced that they were releasing a special physical edition of the Sand and Destroyed bundle for No More Heroes 1 and 2, a digital-only release, I had to nab them for that sweet, sweet waifu poster. I mean the great soundtrack and the behind-the-scenes art book. Yeah, and that steelbook cover is very nice. Look at it. Ooh, shiny. I've always been a huge fan of this game since its first launch all the way back on the Wii in 2007, with it actually being my first game on the console. I had never seen motion controls in my life, and boy what a game to get your first taste of it, if you know what I mean. Very reminiscent of games like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, No More Heroes very much bleeds otaku culture, and pushes to be a medium for nerds and weebs alike with its over-the-top characters and storytelling. Also, let's not forget about those super badass anime boss battles. For years I've raved about No More Heroes purely off my preteen nostalgia brain, notably for its catchy soundtrack, endless slashing gameplay, and like I said, its edgy nerd humor. But now that I've grown into a more wiser and, let's be honest, albeit a degenerate adult like the rest of the people who grew up on anime and video games, I think it may be time to take a critical look at one of my most beloved childhood games and see if it really lives up to the high praise I've been giving it all these years. That's right, baby, I'm gonna talk about a video game for the next, 20 minutes.
There's no way out of this. You set me up, bitch.
Also, my Scott Pilgrim Special KO Edition is taking forever to get here, so I wanted to fill the gap. Apparently it's due to a shipping shortage or a container shortage that they claim to keep sending me in email updates. It's been delayed 3 times. I just want my fucking game at this point. What are you gonna do? Pandemic and all. And I spent about $141 on the bundle alone, plus the $13 for the shipping, so I really hope it's worth it. Could totally roll, could totally suck. So let's open this bitch up.
Holy shit.
At first glance, the box art looks fantastic, showing off specialized art covers of the boxes on both No More Heroes 1 and 2. Packaged with them seems to be these collectible trading cards that show off special art of the characters as well of the first game. They're very nice, they're holographic and sleek. Next, Limited Run Games has included a Replicas Sand and Destroy flag that, to be honest, looks a little questionable at first glance. Jesus, I don't know if I'll be hanging this up anywhere. People might, look at me weird. But the Sand and Destroy Rose insignia can be seen on the center, showing you its origin. It's made of what I suspect is a regular factory-grade flag cloth with a print. It feels nice, like a genuine flag. Now for what's inside the actual box itself. Inside the box, we have an assortment of unique items that commemorate No More Heroes and its respective title. Upon removing the contents of the art box cover, you'll find the physical release of the Switch version of No More Heroes 1 and its OG soundtrack, along with its reversible poster that shows our hero groping Sylvia, the love interest of the game. On the back, we have Travis's favorite daytime anime, Bizarre Jelly. Now I can reenact my favorite scene of all time in gaming. Moe. These are pretty cool. I'm sure I'll find a frame for them somewhere. After that, we have the behind-the-scenes art book that shows all the story behind the first installment, and an exclusive in-depth interview with the game's creator, Suda51. Here we have a physical release of the game complete with the Nintendo Switch cartridge and its full print instruction manual, as well as a steelbook cover for the game. When open, depicts a young Gene from Travis's past on the inside. After that, alongside the game is the original soundtrack for No More Heroes. This was widely received as some of the best music for its game genre, being noted for its catchy, stylistic, enthralling boss music, compiled of 3 discs, each rocking their own art of a character on the front of the disc. All in all, it's not bad for one half of the $149 purchase that I got. I have yet to see what's inside the second box, but that'll have to wait for its own video. Alright, so, hot anime chicks, badass laser swords, and amazing music for boss battles. So what does it all mean? What is it all if there is no face to the body? Well, let's find out what all this seemingly captivating media is centered around. Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Time to enter the Garden of Madness. And let's start with the man behind all that madness, one Goichi Suda, also known as Suda51. Now, with this limited run game's physical edition, there are tidbits of an interview with Suda51 that I mentioned before. I'll be calling back to that exclusive sit-down with the game's creator to sort of flesh out this review. Now, Suda51 was a developer at Human Entertainment making games, when he opted to start his own game dev company by the name of Grasshopper Manufacture in 1998. Suda and his team would go on to develop titles such as Michigan Report from Hell, Shadows of the Damned, and several Japan-only release titles. Most notably, Grasshopper Manufacture would be recognized for one of their breakout GameCube titles, Killer 7, which was a combined effort with Capcom's Shinji Mikami of Resident Evil fame. Spouting a combination of rail shooting and third-person gameplay with a stylistic cel-shaded anime aesthetic, the game garnered success for its creativity, which showcased what Grasshopper was capable of. This would lead to them securing 2 licensed games based off anime properties, one being Samurai Champloo Sidetracked for the PlayStation 2, and the other being a Japan-only release based off Blood Plus, both being published by Bandai Namco, and both being released the same year of 2006. They would also go on to share similar reception, with most reviews being average, sharing fast-paced beat-em-up style action that had taken our Suda51 head over heels. Goichi inferring that this style of gameplay, if fine-tuned, could breathe life into a brand new IP. Now you gotta remember, the year was 2006, the Xbox 360 had just come out, and games of that era reflected what viewers wanted. Fast-paced, stylish violence, and pop culture was just starting to find its niche in media as well. Suda51, being a man of pop culture himself, was always into the media of anime and games, so it's no surprise that he wanted his new IP to reflect that culture. With that being said, Microsoft wanted to find third-party developers for their new HD console. Suda saw this as a chance to create a brand new game with that fast-paced combat in mind, and so he did, and he called it Project Heroes.
Hear the lullaby? Rest in peace, baby.
Originally planned to be an Xbox exclusive, Suda and his team sought to make their new IP a smorgasbord of what they had cooked up so far in their previous projects. One of those projects being a game for the DS called Contact, where a relationship was born between Grasshopper's Suda and Marvelous Entertainment's Yasuhiro Wada, no affiliation. Now, Mr. Yasuhiro Wada was given preliminary access to Nintendo's new console at the time. When shown the new hardware, Suda51 made the decision right there and then to target Nintendo for his new Project Heroes, as their new motion control remote was perfect for the sword-like action that Grasshopper Manufacture was looking for. In the exclusive interview with Suda, he states,
"The game's use of the Wii Remote and motion controls developed organically as we were making the game. From the start we said, okay, the Wii Remote and motion controls are really fun and interesting. I knew that there would definitely be a few ways that they could use it to make the game stand out. You've got the basic controls you know, holding it, slashing it, swinging it around, stuff like that. Since this is basically a sword fighting based game, I felt right off the bat the Wii Remote and the way you control it would be perfect."
Looking to refine what made his previous 2 hack and slashers good, Suda was determined to make his third swordplay game even better. Thus, the Sword Killer Trilogy was born. Grasshopper had a big vision, but even bigger hearts. Not only did they want a game with worldwide pulp culture appeal, but they wanted to revolutionize the sword fighting experience in their new IP, while also breaking the shackles of the norm from their old games, such as rail shooting. Grasshopper Manufacture was still new to this sort of thing, but it being their first open world, they weren't expecting to beat out games like Oblivion when it came to world building at the time, but instead leave an impression on the player to want to progress the story to get to the next battle sequence. No More Heroes really had a hard focus on its core gameplay mechanics, that being combat, narrative, and over-the-top boss battles, the latter being the most important. Boss fights are the whole driving force in this game, and the reason why our protagonist Travis Touchdown has to kill or be killed.
You can take that to your grave.
The story follows Travis Touchdown, who's a stereotypical otaku living near poverty in the No More Heroes motel of the fictional town of San Destory, California. After securing a beam katana in an internet auction, he runs out of money to buy video games and well, you know what? I'll just have him tell you.
I know a lot of gamers out there don't have much patience. At least that's what Bishop, the dude at the video store, said. So I'm at the register, then I realized I got no money. I was seriously broke. Why? Because I met this smoking hot chick last night at the deathmatch bar. Man, she smelled good. So being the gentleman I am, I bought her a drink. Anywho, I decided to get a job. The gig? Assassinate the Drifter. So I went where I was supposed to and waited for the guy to show up. And there he was, this cat, well-dressed, cool, couldn't tell if he was the shit or just plain old shit. Yeah, so he's styling, fast, aggressive, and packing heat. Bada bing. Or at least it was supposed to be. Till she showed up. Her name? Sylvia Crystal, an agent with this whatchamacallit association.
Congratulations. You are certified as the 11th best hitman. How about getting rid of the 10 killers above you and aim for the top?
I want to be number one. How's that? Short and simple enough for you?
Well, there you have it. A broke nerd who's violent and horny. Can't say I can't relate to Travis. Powered by the brain in his pants, after a night sulk drinking in a bar, our hero Travis Touchdown accepts a sketchy job from a mysterious woman who he barely knows. With this newly purchased beam katana from eBay, presumably why he's broke, Travis takes on the task of assassinating a drifter known as Helter Skelter for some quick cash and recognition. Unbeknownst to Travis, his opponent, Helter Skelter, would be the 11th ranked assassin in an organization only known as the United Assassins Association. With Travis the victor, he becomes intertwined in a deadly game of King of the Hill to reach the number one ranking of the association, unless he'd rather be killed by the next rising assassin ranked below him. Travis, frustrated by this news, he quickly realizes there's no way out, and decides to start bargaining with little chips he has, in hopes of getting frisky with the woman who trapped him, Sylvia. As the game starts off, he'll be cannoned into the first ranking of the association at number 10. The game launches you into the intro, which is made apparent by Travis stating,
It's game time!
and can we just take a second to appreciate who they got to voice Travis? Mr. Robert Atkin Downs, the voice of Kazuhiro Milla and other video game fan. He is such a great voice actor, and I aspire to be anything close to this man. Fucking solid pick. Anyway, now it's here at the intro, we see all that hard work Suda51 and Grasshopper Manufacture poured into mastering that swordplay combat. Now, gameplay is as standard as it gets when it comes to motion controls, but for its time, it was pretty revolutionary. But let's just remember, this is the Switch port we're talking about. So let's not get too ahead of ourselves, because we all know how Switch ports usually end up. Attacks are separated into low and high. Pressing the attack button will cause Travis to attack directly in front of him. Optional targeting is capable, similar to Legend of Zelda's Z targeting. In full motion controls, wielding the Joy-Con upwards will prompt Travis to attack from high slashing stance, and the opposite garners a low slashing stance. Both can be used to break enemies' guards and hit vulnerable areas. Now keep in mind, every time the beam katana is swung though, the katana loses battery and it must be recharged by occasional box pickups or by pressing the charge button and shaking the Joy-Con violently. The joke here is pretty obvious. You don't need me to elaborate, right? He's fucking wanking off, alright? Travis can do more than just swing his katana though. Correctly timed strikes can have Travis engage in weapon clashes that prompt the user to rotate their wrist like a crazy man to win a chance to finish off their opponent or deal big time damage. Travis can also charge his katana for a more powered up attack at the price of more battery. But Travis isn't just a skilled swordsman. Along with getting all his training from movie tapes, Travis also dwells in the world of pro wrestling and can utilize his teachings from his tapes to physically put the beat down on anyone being a little too persistent with their weaponry. A nicely timed melee attack will prompt the player to input a quick time event to pull off the move. Finally, Travis can enter an ultimate-like state in which he can perform a variety of different super attacks that can range from firing a ball of energy to kill your foes or instantly chopping away with them with one swipe. This form is indicated by the roulette that rolls when you finish an enemy. Land on one of these 3 winning slots and you'll achieve one of these ultimates. A tiger gauge also initiates when Travis exclaims recipes for foods I could have swore a pregnant woman would order. Blueberry cheeseburger! Now, all these motion controls have been adapted to work in handheld mode as well for the Nintendo Switch. I personally favor the motion controls. I don't know what it is, if it's the nostalgia or the nature of the gameplay, but the game feels a lot more immersive. And naturally so, right? It's a motion-controlled game. But be careful not to blow your damn shoulder out being a tryhard like I did. The reason why I say this is because after finishing an enemy's health bar, a quick time event prompts you to swipe in the direction of the arrow with your Joy-Con in order to finish off the enemy. And this can take out multiple at the same time if they're all relatively low in health. When I was doing research for this video, I came across some articles that reported frame drops in handheld mode. But in my 2 playthroughs, I didn't experience any performance issues, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was common as most games experience this in handheld mode. Now after that you've blown through the tutorial, the game leads you through your first stage, where you will get a first sense of what the game's tone is like. And you'll also be treated to the game's main theme for the first time, and get comfy with it. You'll hear it a lot in this game. Now it's at this point, we will see a couple things to note. Health is restored via 16-bit pizza, and Travis saves by taking a big crap. I just love that. In the first 30 minutes of playing this game, you know 2 things. This game is for all those stereotypical nerds and people who like toilet humor. And you can check both of those off my list, baby. Now, as you reach the 10th ranked assassin in the association, you'll be greeted with an over-the-top intro for your opponent, complete with his over-the-top weapon, which you'll find that every boss has their own monologue of sorts, and they're all over the top. I want to note that Suda took a lot of inspiration from media when he made No More Heroes, taking cuts from Dirty Harry, Memento, and even Spaceballs, but biggest being an old western film named El Topo, which has the exact same narrative as No More Heroes. Some of the characters in No More Heroes are even based off real-life people, such as Travis Touchdown being inspired by Jackass's Johnny Knoxville, and Sylvia being inspired by the real-life actress Scarlett Johansson. Also being inspired by over-the-top American action and shonen-type anime battles, this would be the basis for the game's mainstay in the boss fights. Each boss feels unique in their style, ranging from sword-to-sword combat, giant laser cannons, and straight-up doomsday devices. After the first boss fight, you'll rank up and finally be introduced to our first point of interest, Travis's apartment. Now, there may not be a lot to explore here, but there's a lot to look at, and that's for sure. Here we can see the sort of guy Travis Touchdown really is by the way he lives. Travis is very much a weeb, and he's not afraid to show it. Sporting waifu figurines everywhere, not to be confused with his Gundam-like figures that also dress his compound, it's here we can see Suda's inspiration from the movie Memento, where Travis's home is based off the motel that appears in the film. Appearing to be a motel converted apartment, everything you need is there. Save point, clothing customization, POI viewer, shit, even your kitten Jean. You can also view purchased tapes here to learn new wrestling techniques in combat or watch some of Travis's favorite anime. Oh, and don't forget to heal up on the way out. Now, when you leave the apartment, it's here we can roam the open world for the first time. Well, sorta. You gotta go with the fucking limo first. Upon entering that limo waiting for him, Travis finds Sylvia congratulating him becoming the number 10th ranked assassin in the association. Shortly after, she elaborates that he must buy his way into the next match in order to face the assassin that holds the rank above him. Not before explaining it's all for the fees and costs for the association and that she is not ripping him off or some shit. Travis, knowing that he has no cash, asks how she expects him to get the funds. She sets him up with every weeb's worst nightmare, a part-time job. Now we can finally roam the open world. Santa Destroy, fictional-based California town. It's empty. There's nothing here. What the?
That's fucked up!
Now, let's not forget, this was Grasshopper's first crack at an open world in 2006. Going back to the Limited Run Games interview with Suda claims,
When No More Heroes first came out, the studio had been around for about 10 years at that point, and we were still relatively young, both as creators and as a studio. Putting No More Heroes on the Wii, apart from the aesthetics, there were certainly parts due to its open world and everything that were a bit challenging, since the Wii didn't have the highest specs on the market at the time. But we actually felt that that was part of the fun of it. The challenge was fun to take on to see what we can do with the somewhat limited specs that we were afforded.
With that being said, you have some POIs here that open immediately when you're able to travel, which basically consists of you calling your buddy who works at the video store to come drop off your crazy weird Akira-esque bike. Which, by the way, this shows you this game's age. There's like no video stores around anymore. But anyway, you ride to one of these many places that you can interact with. One of them being Naomi's Beam Katana Lab. It's here you can make upgrades to your Beam Katana depending on the progression of your rank. You can add parts to your current build, or you can buy new ones that pull off more flashy moves or specialize in power or battery life. Now, let's talk about Naomi for a second. In the No More Heroes manual, her description reads as follows. Naomi, she researches beam katanas, and she's quite beautiful, but she's hiding a mysterious secret. But that's it. You don't find out anything else unless you get the DLC and the No More Heroes Heroes Paradise edition. It's things like this where stuff like Naomi feels like a half-fleshed out character that was supposed to play a bigger role in the story, but for some reason got completely forgotten in the finished product. Through the base play of the game, she's seemingly just a lady who powers up your weapon. And that's it. And every time you leave, she calls you an otaku, and I can't tell if she's being flirtatious or like insultful. I'm confused. But it's not Naomi's fault. She isn't the only thing that doesn't feel fleshed out. Which brings me to my next point, the open world of Send to Destroy. Now, I know in most reviews you've probably already seen on this game, you'll find that they all sing the same tune. That the Send to Destroy California town is barren and it feels like an unfinished in-world universe that we were meant to exploit and immerse ourselves in a little bit more than what we were given. Like names given to the points of interest that you can explore to all over Send to Destroy, sharing the same theme throughout the entire game. With places titled Suplex Plaza, Atomic Drop Ward, Body Slam Beach, and Iron Claw Point, all pro wrestling techniques, and all of which are inspired by Suda's love for the sport, in which case is a very strong reoccurring theme in the world of No More Heroes. It seemed like these places were meant to hold a more significant importance to the world that Grasshopper had envisioned but never got to. This is purely speculation. Like I stated before, the focus on these titles were mainly the narrative, gameplay, and the boss battles. Now, whether or not you include the world into any of those categories is up to you. But what you can universally agree on is that the open world gameplay is very tedious, and it's literally a step-by-step process in order to progress the game to the next chapter. And I'm not bullshitting you either. It's literally in the instructional manual, a step-by-step process. You register for the ranking battle, prepare for the entry fee, deposit the money in the ATM, warm up, ranking battle, victory, ranking certification, corpse disposal, return home, do it all again. The option to do different part-time jobs to raise the money is a neat idea, but you have to unlock them after each ranked battle. So you find yourself doing the same exact job over and over and over until you raise enough money to put it in the ATM to then travel to the next battle. But hey, if you wanted to buy any of those optional unlockables throughout the game, like the tapes or clothing accessories or even the beam katana upgrades, you'd have to do those same jobs on repeat until you get your desired amount of cash. Alternatively, you can go to work for an agency that requires you to do hitman jobs to earn money, that require the player to achieve combat-based objectives that have bigger payouts. Now, keep in mind, you'll still have to do about 5 of these big ones before you get anywhere near the amount that you need for the next rank battle or any of the unlockables that you want. To be honest, it kinda sucks, because this is a very fast-paced combat game that just gets slowed down by the monotonous side missions that you have to do that almost discourage you from doing elongated playthroughs. Now, don't get me wrong, once you start to upgrade and progress through the game, these missions get easier and a little more fun to do. Also, it's a lot more fun to pull off new techniques that you learn through either the tapes or the way of these Lytkov balls that are scattered throughout Send to Destroy. These little balls are turned in for secret techniques that are taught by this drunkard Russian man in the bar behind Thunder Ryu's gym. Speaking of which, you can upgrade your stamina and HP by doing minigame workouts at Thunder Ryu's. Although, they don't change, The workouts are the same each time you go, and you can only do them once after each ranked battle. Real original, Ryu. Can't skip backdate, dude, come on. Anyway, that's pretty much it in the way of gameplay when it comes to No More Heroes. Hack and slash your way through each ranked boss battle to then go to an open world to a formulated process of side missions to then get enough money to then either waste it on unlockables or the next ranked mission, and then do it all over again. Now there are optional collectibles in the game, such as professional wrestling masks that teach Travis new melee moves, also trading cards and hidden missions. But in order to unlock everything in the game though, you'll have to do 2 playthroughs I reckon. With all the tedious side work, it makes it really hard to do so. And to be honest, this fact is very heartbreaking. As a kid, I thought this open world was so cool. The fact that I got to ride on this cool Akira bike that I could just jet around on and go do funny missions in, and then go do badass anime moves on cute anime girls that were trying to kill me. But now it just feels like a chore. Now, I know that Suda has elaborated that the grindy parts of the game are meant to reflect that of the real-life experience of going to work every day and grinding out until you become the cream that rises to the top. And that's very much alive here, but how well it transitions into a game is arguable, and one that you would want to garner a mass appeal could even be a bigger reason as to why it just barely flew under the mainstream limelight. But nevertheless, the game was well received by the targeted audience we all knew Suda was aiming at, and so it grew to be a successful IP to even flush out multiple sequels. Honestly, No More Heroes is a gem amongst a sea of shovelware of its time, and even now it feels great to play on even this more refined version for the Switch. Now I would say this would be the definitive version for the game, but it's missing the DLC that came with the No More Heroes Heroes Paradise release that came out for the PS3, which does include a new secret ending and new secret boss battles, and new collectibles to unlock, and as well as something called Very Sweet Mode, which is just all the game's waifus and skimpy outfits. Like I said, Suda knew who his target was.
Damn, that's smooth.
It also had HD graphics as well. So with those things missing from this port, I can't say this is the definitive edition of this game, as it is just, like I said, a port of the Wii version with adaptive controls. And as far as the game goes, that's all it really is. Just a port of the original. So if you bought the game digitally as intended, that's all you'll be getting. Which, if I'm making it sound bad, I'm not. The game is still fun to play despite the fact that the open world does slow the game down, and it does feel empty at times when traveling. But let's be honest, you don't stay for the game's attempt at trying to immerse you in Sand and Destroy. No, you stay for the kick-ass one-liners and badass difficult boss fights that make you feel like you're playing an interactive episode of your favorite shonen anime. So real quick, I am going to go into the ending of the narrative of this game, that way we can kind of just bring this video full circle. I didn't really write a good ending for this, so here you go.
There's no way out, is there? No getting out, right, bro?
At the end of the climactic build-up, you find out why Travis can't remember anything about his past and who the mysterious woman known as Jean is. It turns out this woman, Jean, is the guys behind Darkstar, the actual #1 ranked assassin in the association. Finding out that Jean is not his thought-to-be long-lost lover, but actually his long-lost sister, who was sexually abused by their father and then murdered their parents out of revenge, and now wants to take out Travis to tie up loose ends or some shit. Mind you, this is the first time that you're hearing about any of this. There was never a mention in the game before about Travis's past, or his family, or sister, or parents. I mean, all this is even a shock to Travis. I mean, look at him, he's shocked, he's in pure shock. So the whole thing was a setup by Sylvia as a ploy to get them to reunite and fight. Keep in mind, this is all being explained literally by Jean fast-forwarding like a VHS tape over the whole thing so the player cannot understand unless they physically slow down the audio in order to hear the climax of the game's story. And here's where I start to get a little frustrated with this game a little bit. So if the game's whole focus was based on gameplay, boss battles, and narrative, then why leave this entire bit out? And why not explain Jean through the entirety of the game? She's only mentioned in notes or as an Easter egg on Travis's desk. The only actual context we get is that Travis has a kitten named Jean, and that's pretty much fucking it. And why doesn't Travis remember any of this? So apparently, it turns out is because he was too drunk to remember. For so long, I speculated that it was just a result of rushed writing and wanting to push for a holiday release date in Japan. But the more I've grown to know Suda and his workings about No More Heroes, and the more I realize this is just the world of No More Heroes. It's the mind of Suda51. Shit's half explained, only given through minor context clues, like poorly written kung fu movies. Now, I'm not saying that's excusable or anything, but as I bring this video to a close, I'm gonna bring you one more quote from the limited run games interview with Suda51.
No More Heroes in general, and Travis in particular, they're the kind of game and the kind of character that players don't really need to think too deeply about.
Through it all though, Travis Touchdown really does grow on you. He really is just a normal guy who likes anime, girls, fighting and wrestling, video games, and he also likes to get down and dirty from time to time. And he just wants to be number one. How can you hate on the guy?
If I become number one, will you do it with me?
Maybe. Maybe not.
Come on, just once.
That's it. I'm all done. I appreciate you guys for watching. I didn't know this video was going to be that long, but I also pushed it back for a long time. If you guys liked what you saw here, please consider giving a like. Subscribe if you liked any stuff that I said here, or if you like video game content, retro shit. I very much live on the nostalgia and pop culture world. But other than that, thanks, and see you next time.